Good morning, and it's a little after 8:30, and we're going to call the meeting of the Operations Committee and the annual budget hearing to order. The first order of business is to open the public hearing. We are opening the public hearing now, and the process we will use on that, of course, is we will give the overview of the budget, and then we will ask for comments from the public, and after that we'll basically close the public hearing and consider the two resolutions. And I think Trent's going to read those. Trent, yeah, Jesus. I'm sorry, we're down in the front row. But anyway, the point is that we'll advise the two resolutions to the county board for passage. Okay, so the public hearing is open, and the first thing we're going to do is go over the summary of the budget. The Wood County tax levy for 2022 is $30,721,658. That's compared to $28,164,064 in 2021. It's an increase of $2,556,594, or 8.04%. The county tax rate levy increased mainly due to the increase in debt service levy. The estimated average equalized value for a home in the county is $132,000 compared with $130,300 a year ago. That's up. That means that the county property tax on the average home is approximately $730, or up from $699 last year, about $31 difference. The total equalized value of all the properties in Wood County is $6,055,382. That's an increase of $332,145,500, or 5.8%. And that kept the rate down a little bit. We had more value of property. So anyway, that's pretty much where we're at. The largest expenditures were, as we said, the capital improvements project, and a lot of that is due to the jail. As a matter of fact, of the 63 million up in total expenditures, that accounted for 90.1% of it. So that did it. The rest of it was mostly in salaries and benefits for the employees. That was Health and Human Services was the second highest increase at $2,980,000. Public safety, I think it was, let's see, $855,000. And conservation and recreation, $482,000. Those are the top increases in the budget. Basically, I'm going to yield the microphone to Panea Yang, and she is going to give part of it, and then we will have another summary. Panea?
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. My name is Panea Yang, and I'm the Deputy Finance Director. Before I jump into the budget summary, I just wanted to thank all the Wood County Board of Supervisors, the department heads and their staff for all their hard work on the budget this year. We started working on the budget at the end of July, and now it's November, so it's quite the process. We felt it went very, very well, and on top of that, it was pleasant working with everyone that was involved in this process, and so I just want to thank you all again for making it go smooth this year. So we're going to jump right into our budget summary for 2022. Our budget revenues are estimated to be about $177.7 million, while expenditures are estimated to be about $180.5. And if you look at that bottom line in the table there, that puts us at a deficit of $2.8 million. That is actually an improvement of about $1.7 million from 2021's deficit of $4.5 million. And we want to iterate that the county does have sufficient reserves to do so. It was mentioned last year probably, and we'll want to mention again this year, that the county overall is in a sound financial position, but we must remain diligent in our future, just trying to improve our budget process overall. And I feel that for this year, this year's budget, we did do that, seeing that our deficit was 2.8 million compared to what we normally see, what we have seen in the past from anywhere from 4 to 6 million. And so I just want to thank again all the committees and departments for working really hard on that, and hopefully we continue going towards that direction, okay? And that's just a very short summary of our 2022 budget, and I will give it back to Ed Wagner to go over our expenditures section, okay? Thanks.
As I alluded to first in the initial presentation, there were some major increases, but there were some decreases in expenditures also that went into the budget. As I said, the budgeted expenditures are 180.5 million, or approximately 63.8 million above the 2022. We mentioned that Health and Human Services increase was approximately 2.98 million. That the Public Health Department increased by 715,000, due almost solely to wage and benefit in the pay scale. Edgewater, Norwood, and Human Services Community increase was approximately 1.5 million, and the bulk of that increase is attributable to the wage and benefit increase, and the other increase is a result of a higher contract services rate of about $727,000. Public safety increased by approximately 855,000, and that was in dispatch and corrections, and the COLA accounted for 603,000 of that. And the cost for communication and jail contract services increased by around $50,000, basically on the rising cost of the contracts. Public Works actually decreased by $941,000, and that was attributed to the cost allocations for highway machinery, equipment, including a reduction in capital outlay. So there was something coming down there. General government, that had an increase, a very small increase of only $41,000 for that. And that was mostly due, these were smaller departments, and basically the only thing they have going for them is salaries and benefits. So that increased by about 295,000. But the increase was offset by lower cost of employee self-insured health benefits of approximately $259,000. So there was an offset there, it worked out rather well. And there was also a reduction in capital projects of about $74,000, but that was offset also by cost of increase in supplies of about $81,000. Conservation and recreation, it shows an increase of $482,000, but that's deceptive because there is going to be state grant funding for parks and forestry shelter construction of $473,000. So that basically will offset that, but we had to report it as an expenditure first before the grants are applied to it. Capital projects expenditure increased by approximately 57.5 million, as we stated, and that is mainly because of the jail. That's primarily that. But there was some other financing for highway, and there was also some financing for other capital improvement projects. And that included more extensive renovation needs at the aging healthcare facilities and the courthouse. And also adding a fourth courtroom, which we know we're going to come up to here very shortly. I think probably by mid-year next year we'll be responsible for doing that. And then there will be more extensive park facilities in 2022. And with that, I think we turn it back over to Nate.
Okay, so next I'm going to go over our revenues section. For 2022, our budgeted revenues are approximately, again, 177.7 million, and that is an increase of 65.5 million from 2021's budget. With the next talking points, I will quickly highlight where these increases are seen per revenue source. Property taxes, that is our second largest revenue source. It is up approximately 2.6 million, and that's mainly due to an increase under our debt service levy for covering the principal and interest payments of the new jail project. Next, intergovernmental revenues, that increased approximately 2.52 million, with the largest increase under human services for state and federal aids. Public charges for services, that increased approximately 1.34 million, and that is again due to an increase in human services public charges for mental health and Edgewater private pay. Intergovernmental charges for services, that actually showed a decrease of about 118,000. While workers' comp rates and liability insurance increased, there was a decrease for health insurance enrollment and a decrease in awards over at Edgewater for private pay, over at Edgewater due to the reduction in current year census. Sales tax, for 2022, we budgeted that for 6.9 million, and that is up 900,000 from 2021's budget. We did take a look at 2021 collections so far to date and what the state was projecting for determining that 6.9 million figure. Proceeds from long-term borrowing, that is our largest revenue source for 2022. That increased about 57.5 million due to the funding that is needed for our new jail, our highway projects, and our CIP projects. And then last but not least, other revenues, that increased about 815,000, primarily due to higher proceeds for long-term borrowing. And next, I will give it to Ed Newton just for the closing points of our budget here.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank again all the supervisors, department head managers, operations committee in preparing the 2022 budget. I'd also like to thank Pania for all her hard work. This is her, as everybody knows, this is her first budget, and she did an excellent job, not only on the budget, but working with other various departments. So I just want to say thank you to her too as well. So now we're gonna look at what our challenges were, the considerations. Most of you know that our operations levy is capped, and it's based upon the economic growth of Wood County. We had a slightly over 2% growth on it, on our on the economic growth. And we know that's not enough to keep pace with inflation. So we have to, keep our services to the community and to all our citizens, but we still need to be fiscal responsible about it. So how do we do this? We always have to look for additional funding sources such as grants or other monies that are out there. And we must maintain a strong fiscal discipline. And this is where we rely on our supervisors as well as our department head and managers. And I believe they do a good job. Again, we have to look out for our head count because, as noted earlier, that is one of our largest expenses. So I think we've done a good job this year really watching our head count, being very diligent of replacing and being able to keep the services that everybody expects from the county and the community. And also, we know that the supervisors and department heads has always strived for greater operational efficiency. So even though we know we have to keep things at a minimum, we still have to look and make sure that we have the efficiency there. So then we started preparing our budget. What are some of the considerations that we did? As talked about earlier, we increased our sales tax from 6.0 to 6.9. Where did we come up for this number? Well, Forward Analytics sends out a report, and they were showing closer to just over $7 million, but after discussion, we felt to be a little conservative that we would do the 6.9 million. We felt that was a conservative approach, even though right now for 2021, we are on pace probably to reach the 7 million mark on sales tax. So we will be over that, which is a good thing. As part of a lot of this was discussed already earlier, is our personnel cost. We reflected a 2.5% COLA increase, plus we had our annual step increase. And part of that annual step increase is based upon the new structure when we did the salary that went into effect January 2021. Why do we do this? We have to be competitive with all the other industry that's out there to make sure that we keep, quality individuals, quality help here. So we want to be competitive, but we also have to remember that we got to keep our wages under control. And it's a tough task because we need people, there's competition, we're limited budget on where we can get our money. So again, it's a difficult task, but I think we're doing a pretty darn good job. Continuing with wages, the departments did a great job budgeting for their personnel as far as wages, as far as other contract labor costs that they'll need when we're unable to fill some positions. And I think helping us out on the budget was our new software, because we're able to utilize better information on the wages. We're able to put different start date for individuals instead of having everybody, which we used to, start January 1. We knew, not everybody we hire is going to start January 1, and there's going to be some attrition back and forth. So I think that helps us get more of an accurate budget. So again, that was a great shout out to the department heads and managers for their hard work on that. I know that's a tough task, especially for the larger departments that have a lot of moving parts going on. So thank you very much. We also increased our healthcare costs by 1%, which is a small increase considering everything else you hear about healthcare costs. Mainly this is due to favorable claims experience in the past years and a strong fund balance. Workers' comp increase for 2022. It had increased because we did a big significant decrease in 2021. After discussion with risk management, we felt that this increase was necessary to maintain a sufficient fund balance. So hopefully next year, 2023, I don't think we'll see much of an increase at all. I think we're at that level now where we can maintain and keep a healthy fund balance as long as we don't have any serious claims. So then we got to look at the uncertainties that is out there. What are some of the uncertainties? Currently, we have a new president. There's been lots of interesting things going on in Washington as far as a lot of money coming our way. How to spend it's another uncertainty. Again, we'll see what happens through the next years. COVID-19, that's still around, all the variants. How's that going to affect us on personnel? How does that affect us on Medicaid with all the vaccine mandates? Time will tell. So, we've got to be wary of that. COVID-19, also the other mandates, is that going to increase some of our costs? Most likely, but hopefully there's money out there to offset that. We know that we've had this labor shortage for CNAs. It's been there for a while. We're also seeing various other labor shortages throughout the country, throughout Wisconsin Rapids, throughout Wood County. People are, looking for the next higher paying job. So again, that's where we have to keep our wages competitive, make sure we have the proper benefits. Vaccine mandate, again, falls into this picture. If that comes in, how will that affect our labor market? So things that could affect the budget going forward that we still don't know. Supply chain issues. We know there's having the availability of products isn't always there. We have the rising cost of products. That's good news because as products rise, that increases our sales tax base. But on the bad side, of course, that affects us because we have to pay the higher cost. So it's catch-22, but luckily we don't pay the sales tax. We still have the closure of the Wisconsin Rapids mill. I haven't heard much detail on it. It's been pretty quiet. Last I heard was probably about 3 months ago that they're still in negotiations. Again, it would be great to hear more information on that, but I haven't heard anything. ARPA, we do have a lot of money sitting out there, but we did not include any of that money in our budget. Reason is we're not sure how we can spend it properly. A lot of webinars that I've attended says be patient. So once we're able to figure out how to best spend it, then we'll work that into as a budget resolution or however we feel necessary. So thank you. Do you have any questions for any of our team here? Guess not.
Was that Mr. Meehan? I got you. Thank you. Well, let's get again. Does anybody else have any questions, concerning the budget? No questions? That being the case, I will declare the public hearing portion closed. And before we consider the two resolutions, I want to add something that Ed mentioned. I want to thank the staff and the other supervisors and the other committee chairs for their help and cooperation in preparing this budget. It went much smoother this year than it did in the years past, and I'm very pleased with it, and I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your cooperation. And with that, we'll go on to the consideration of the two resolutions. The first one, 1-1, is intent and synopsis to establish Wood County's tax levy for 2021 collectible in 2022. Can I have a motion by Rosar, second by Fisher? Discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is item 1-2, intent and synopsis, adoption of the 2022 Wood County budget. Motion is in order. Mr. Fire, Mr. Fisher, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with our presentation, and we thank you for your cooperation, and we stand adjourned.